Sometimes I don't think that individuals' perceptions are necessarily valid.
How would we explain this to an audience in 2 seconds?
You don't do it in 2 seconds. You explain it in 5 minutes at the beginning.
Okay, then let me put the question another way.
When they walk out, that's when you want them to go, oh,
Okay,
that's what it was about.
Yeah,
rephrase
exactly,
the question
exactly.
in another way. Why would anybody be interested in going to this show
They're
in
going
2
to
seconds?
They're going to experience the various
What?
tableaus and
What?
and things.
Art and science.
In science, that we do at the beginning.
I've got a better
They
question.
will
How do we
understand
hook
this at
them?
the end.
That's what I'm saying.
How do you what? Hook them?
Hook them.
Yeah,
No, it's not a hook, though. It's not
No, no, no.
No, I know what
But
you
it's a
mean.
What's the
hook.
value
Yeah.
of?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I see an ad on TV, or I see a poster, or something like that. What's it going to say I'm going to experience?
Well, okay, this is not a research project. I think the hook is that you go to a series of short presentations. Period. They're
Oh, I
interesting.
see. You mean
Music,
as
art,
a-
various things. An eclectic evening or a general.
So let's talk about Niels Bohr model of the atom.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to run with this.
Okay.
I may not be right or any of that. I'm just
That's it. Okay.
brainstorming here.
I
Okay. So
I had a disagreement with you about the screwdriver.
okay. So
Go ahead.
yeah, exactly. So Niels Bohr model of the atom. Are you guys familiar with that? A little bit. It basically is the model that looks like a solar system where
Right,
you have
yeah.
electrons going around in
Yeah.
orbits, like a little solar system. Okay. Now, when you in the aesthetic of thinking, someone like John could explain, how cool this model that Niels Bohr came up with of the atom. He could do it in a lecture form or something, but he's going to talk about the aesthetics of thinking. How cool was the thought process that Niels Bohr came up with to create this idea? And John, you could expound upon that and maybe what processes he went to map it to make it look like a solar system, whatever. Okay, that's thinking, the aesthetics of thinking. Now, as you move across the stage, this dialogue turns into a solar system where you've got somehow, now that's where you would come in, somehow you got to build a solar system out of thin air and have things start spinning around each other as you get over to the direct experience.
See, but here's where you have to be very
You can have
careful.
custom dancers.
Here's what you have to be very careful of. And the artistic process is very much the same. It's the thinking. For example, I don't know you, I'll work on a musical piece for 6 months. Work on the piece and the thinking process of working the piece. And sometimes when the piece is finished, compositionally, it's not even important to play it. Because it was that
Because it was
whole-
about the aesthetics of thinking.
Right.
It wasn't
No, but-
about the aesthetics of direct experience.
No, but here's what I'm saying is that those two things are sometimes
They're
not
fused.
Yeah,
They're together. That's
And-
why this is called polyaesthetic, where there's many aesthetics in any kind of an expression. Like the expression you're talking about, it has thinking in it, it has direct experience in it, it may have some purposelessness in it, it may have some purpose in it. It may have craft involved, or it may be purely a design
I'll
concept.
give you an example. I was just working on some drawings, just before we came here, and I sat down, I had a cigarette, and all of a sudden I got this bolt of enthusiasm, like, oh yeah, I've solved that. I know how to get those lips just right, to get the lips in the part of the ear. And I was thinking to myself, that bolt of enthusiasm, and I didn't get up and do it because you were on your way, but the bolt was that excitement
Intuition.
of thinking, okay, of resolution.
Solving a problem. Wow, that's
Yeah.
the aesthetics
Yeah.
of thinking.
And that was more fun than actually painting the lips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But did you express the aesthetics of the thinking in your lips?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, so
is the lips totally a different experience?
No,
And-
because where's the
That's-
Marshall painting? Is that Marshall's
Yeah.
right there? Okay, that whole thing artistically has to, for him to take his hand off of that thing, he's got to be solved with the entire, the solution of all those different elements of
That's
thought
just a print, yeah.
that he was thinking about when he was
St.
doing
Christopher.
it.
But he has to know what he's done when he solved it.
Yeah.
But it's a multi-intuitive as well as conceptual and reflective process.
But I may look at it and go, I don't do anything about the thinking. It's like, I just like the way it looks, with this dark colors, and this guy's holding something. Reminds me of Prometheus or something, carrying fire. Or, I'm letting my imagination go with just feeling it, and not even getting any sense of thinking out of it.
Yeah, or Aeneas fleeing without his father fleeing Troy. Yeah.
The thing is, though, you have to, how do you call it? That thing is, I don't know nothing about art, but I know what I like. You know what I mean? Is the old cliche
Sure.
where
That's because they don't understand anything about the theory.
Well,
that's
no, I
involved
mean,
in it.
there's to look at a piece of art. Sometimes to know it, you really have to study it, just like you study
That's because that's the science part of it.
It's like my dad taught us something really interesting. Is that we'd always be dragged through museums in Europe, like Uffizi and stuff, and he'd say, "Look, this is a library here." I told you this, I guess already. No. He'd say, "This is a library. You can't go in here and read all the books." And he'd go in and he'd look at 2 or 3 paintings max for an hour. He'd study 1 or 2, and then leave, and then come the next day.
Yeah, that happens to me when I go to museums and I see too much stuff. I get nervous and I've got to go.
Well, I mean, there's no time to really understand. Like we were just talking about, what's the final symphonic solution, orchestration in all those
It's
ideas.
like eating too much food or something like that. Like same feeling.
Well, anyway, this is interesting. It's just that how do we make this... what you're thinking of is setting it up like a series of presentations or lectures and then letting the audience...
Or just more dramatic than that, actually. Maybe dancers moving around different spaces.
And have the audience
But maybe a dozen completely different direct experiences which illustrate various aspects of this.
Yeah,
And one of them could be, a bunch of guys dressed as mad scientists out there doing something, or and then analyze, and then have the audience analyze it in these terms. If they
Where's the physical experience?
There's the color.
the physical.
Yeah.
I think there may be a Wikipedia article. Scroll down and
No, I mean the physical circle, like where the body,
The introduction.
the
no,
tactile.
The black. Oh, no, the black one there. Niels Bohr model on YouTube. Scroll down, please.
That's all it does.
No, see
The
the
black print. Right
Oh,
there.
I see.
Actually, I think almost, in addition to Niels Bohr, I think Planck's original concept of the quantum is even more basic.
Oh, I mean,
Why is energy? But
this is more
These
popular.
are things we design. Well, yeah, but quantum is such a buzzword. What does quantum
what
actually
does
mean?
quantum mean?
Let's-
And the idea,
We can see with our own eyes this prediction is false.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've
I haven't
seen this
that.
thing.
I haven't seen that one.
I've seen this one.
Rising visible radiation. But they do not change color, which would
So can you imagine dancers going around a central?
Yeah,
disappear
yeah.
or otherwise
The thing is, audiences are really sophisticated. Most of them are, because we've all been exposed to so much stuff.
But
And
it's a
so
lot
if
of high
you-
tech stuff without much content.
No, but if you address, hospitably,
Okay.
the excellence in an audience, they respond. You know what I mean? And so, the idea is to present something that
Well, I
they're
think
really going to get something out of.
working under Rutherford
That's
was a brilliant young theorist, Niels Bohr, who came to the rescue of Rutherford's atomic model.
It'd be nice if they had music that wasn't
He
at 12
suggested
equal, though.
that
Well, that's where you come in. You come in the stage, and Kaz comes in with the intellectual background of it.
I guess we should start with 12 equal music and then just trash
Reject.
it and put in something
Are you
microtonal.
still saying that? You have to change your belief system.
actually didn't accelerate charge,
Hope you marry 12 tone music.
radiate energy.
I don't hate any tunings. Some I do for some stuff,
Max Planck,
Well,
who in the late 19th century...
Yeah, but you know what's happening? 12 equal is just taking over all over the world because of standardization.
Oh, yeah.
Factory-produced instruments and that kind of thing.
And radio, television,
Yeah.
and TV.
When emitting or
But I think it has more to do do with the manufacturing.
Do you know
of
when this
instruments
was
than
done?
anything else. Because they
I think it was done in the
they pound them out
Yeah,
in factories and sell them by the millions.
Yeah, but it's no problem getting a retunable sound.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
if you want to be doing good music, you don't, I mean, you don't need to have all 22 notes at once. You need to have 7, put them where you want it. Just punch, okay, this is Raga by Rob. That turns out to be almost the same as equal time. It doesn't diminish it, but and just play that.
Because an
And
electron
you
near
have,
the nucleus is attracted more
I mean, that was certainly
idea
true.
to throw out
But yeah.
than one
that
that is
might
further away.
incorporate this too.
Oh.
Should we sit down a
We're
second?
going to go back in
Yeah.
the.
Is required and work
All right.
I think we got the idea.
So we understand the space and the central system. Okay.
much more.
Well, I decided, I'm not really a mathematician, but I'm mostly a Platonist, like all other mathematicians. 5 days a week I'm a Platonist. 2 days I have no idea. I did get that out of that book. Well, it's like, it's a little bit like, synthetic chemistry. You synthesize an absolutely new molecule, and that's clearly invention. But you might discover it now.
You might discover what?
Well, I was talking, is mathematics discovered or invented? And I think it really has both.
Figured it out.
For example, complex numbers are very useful in physics. They're actually physical phenomena that actually are easily modeled in complex numbers.
You're not going to tell me those exist in nature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complex numbers?
Yeah, I think
Electricians use
they're very nice
the
ways.
square root of -1?
Yeah,
Electricians use them all
they're
the
very
time.
nice ways of indexing the points in the plane. They also describe rotations in three-dimensional space. They describe the magnetic and electric fields in electricity.
more factors.
Now,
Allow-
quaternions were a little bit too complicated to be really useful. So they simplified them to vectors. Octonians have no use whatsoever, and even less Sedanians. But they're invented mathematical systems, because once you have the axiomatization, then you can play games and invent new
Yes.
things. And some of them may turn out to model something in nature and some don't.
But the axiomization
Yeah,
is based in metaphor.
yeah, of course.
Actually,
But some parts of nature I think are modeled very well. Like, since in the middle world we see discrete objects, the arithmetic of integers is very useful to us. When we start looking at the space around us, Euclidean geometry is pretty good. If you're doing careful surveying over large areas, you run into problems with the curvature of the Earth, and you have gores every so often between the segments, the sections. But nobody really thinks it's worthwhile using the double elliptic Riemannian geometry to do that. And once people start building straight roads and railroads, you realize your visual field is actually hyperbolic. The parallel lines converge. Whereas in Euclidean geometry, they're always at a constant distance. So all those geometries actually have some use in nature. But for convenience, we use Euclidean because we've evolved under conditions where Euclidean is the easiest and the most efficient for us. And then it gets more complicated. So I think mathematics is both invented and discovered. Because not every chemical reaction works. Not every building you build stands up. Not every axiom system is consistent. So there is invention. Okay, that's just a side, because I enjoyed your book.
Well, here's an idea.
And I get very talkative after a little bit of wine.
This idea is really raw, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. I've been thinking about the DNA of creativity and the diversity of all these projects. And I asked myself a question: could the best idea be here to do all of the ideas? And how would we do all of the ideas?
With poor people.
With 4 people. Well, no, here's what I was thinking, and I said this is a raw idea, okay, it seems to me kind of funny that there would be set up a, Idol of America thing for only $3,000, when maybe there's a plethora of 100 great ideas, okay? What's wrong with the Edison idea, the Ford idea, setting up a situation or an organization or a factory or whatever that it has the ability to generate and manifest all these ideas, both with the discussions, with the interchanges and collaborations, discollaborations, and the manifestations and actualizations of all these ideas. And how would it be done? Wouldn't that be the best of all possible worlds?
So that's our project.
Yeah, that's our project. Okay, so how would we do that? How would we implement it? And how would we present it? Okay, what I was thinking of is, remember, I've been talking to Jonathan, one of my dreams is to set up an art factory. And I've been thinking
I think that
about doing
directly
it.
challenges Patricia's organization.
No, I'm talking about evolving it from, okay, here's my cliche
okay.
I always say is,
Okay.
the purpose of purpose is the transposition of purpose. Okay? So if you can get to a higher step quicker, okay, you've solved a lot of things that you have used that original purpose to get to. Okay? The idea, I wouldn't present it as a challenging thing, but as the goal and the end game, anyway, of what the integrity of what they're working on, the idea there of not just studying creativity or mapping it or whatever, but actually, actualizing some ideas through it, is a kind of a nice dimensional purpose. But the thing is that why can't we think a little bigger here? Okay, than just doing, let's put some huge brain power together, let's forget this, I didn't tell you, we were talking about this, I decided to really troll the internet for...
Forget this what?
Hmm?
You jumped.
I was following you just fine, and you said, forget this, and then you jumped into another concept.
Yeah, and I was going to explain what I was going to
Okay.
forget this is. I was trolling the internet quite a bit for just precedents of what science and art ideas similar to this one are. And who's doing stuff like this, and what are they doing, and what's, what the concepts are generally. And of course I was doing it through music and tuning systems and stuff, and I was working on random rhythms for a piece I'm doing.
Mhm.
And random rhythm generators, and there's this place in Iceland, a group of artists and musicians who are scientists and artists who are collaborating, doing some interesting stuff. But what I was going to say is this, is that at some point in all this stir-fry of creativity, okay, sometimes a scientific, to use your model, okay, a scientific end will emerge as being, more directive or more visionary, or an artistic one may emerge, okay? Or they might duet together, or then go in and out and stuff like that. But the idea of setting up a dynamic situation where the brain power there is shared and experienced over time. Right now we're all raw in putting this thing together. We haven't worked 10 years on doing the same thing. If we did the same thing for 10 years, our, our output in our ideas would be a lot different.
We'd be bored.
Not necessarily.
necessarily.
No, I think there's evidence of that.
We do the same thing.
There's,
No,
there's
I'm
good
saying-
evidence of that, actually.
Being bored?
Of people who work together for too long a time. They did a study on
Look at the
Broadway
Beatles.
musicals
Listen.
during this great period in which they,
Not in
Marx, Marx and
film,
Hart and everybody, 90% of them were failures in that period.
but not in film. In the best film works are lifetime associations.
Well,
For the editor and the director and the musical person,
Okay,
they're
okay.
lifetime.
okay. The question I have about all this thing
Yeah.
is there any reason why Patricia should want to fund something that's going to supersede her?
How would it supersede her?
I think if we're trying to put together for our project some sort of a grandiose organization to do all the art projects that we can think of,
All the science ones.
the science projects, that cuts her out of it. She's not going to fund it.
Why not? Why wouldn't
why-
she be one of the
bec-
movers and shakers?
Because she wouldn't be. We'd be taking over.
How so? This is just an idea.
I-
And a
I
collective
just think
idea.
politically it's not going to fly with them.
It depends if you're
First,
Lebanese.
it's too vague. Secondly, we don't.
Well, no, here's what I was saying. It's raw idea.
It is
okay?
raw, yeah.
But the way to map it out, or to crystallize it, okay, would be to set up a functional situation where we could see these things in process. Look, what we're doing, I don't think a lot of people are doing in the other groups, or are they? Are they getting
We don't
together?
know.
Who knows?
We don't know. Okay.
They wouldn't know us because our stuff's secret anyway.
Right, okay. Well, what I'm saying is this, is that if, to be practical about it, you can't do idea in the works at the same time. You know, but you could certainly set up I don't mean this theatrically, a staging type of situation for this. You know, you could have a big building and a program where you would have various talks, you would have symposiums, you would have performances, you would have projects, you know, event projects. You know, you'd have a board of people, you'd have a fundraising system, you know, a financial system, you'd have, with the real sandcastle virtue intentions of bringing out the best in the quality of, you know, the fusions of minds and creativity.
I lost you at Sandcastle.
Sandcastle virtue.
Okay, I just think that really basically means we're taking over the San Diego Visual Arts Network and we're superseding it.
Or else
I wouldn't worry
incorporate.
about that. I mean,
So
Patricia.
they're not going to fund it.
Well, incorporate.
Patricia's
She's pretty
she's
open-minded.
open-minded to anything you want to do. I'll tell you, she's certainly secure enough with the San Diego Visual Arts Network that she's not worried about anybody threatening that. No, but first of all, nobody's going to work as hard as she does. You know.
Well, that's probably true.
I wasn't suggesting this as a threatening idea. I was suggesting it as a, you know, a creative idea. You know, here's the thing: is that
To me, it just sounds,
too much to do?
yeah, just
Grandiose.
Yeah, it sounds like. But
I mean,
I think grandiose ideas are great, especially in brainstorming sessions, because you'll throw something out that seems grandiose, and then somebody will go, "Oh, well, we could do this." Oh, yeah, well, we could do that too, and it'll come together. So, but this sounds like, you know, it just sounds really big.
Why not?
Sounds-
What are we living for?
Well,
I think you're just intoxicated by that Mahler's Eighth that you just saw.
I guess you heard about.
Yeah,
That was a great live satellite broadcast from
I'm trying to get the hang of it.
Darren. Well, anyway, I thought I'd
Well,
throw that out.
it'd be sort of nice to have something like that in San Diego.
I'll stick with this one.
Wouldn't it?
I certainly agree with you.
I think we could, because you could really draw on the brain pool.
And I think there's no reason why this thing has to end March 31st, whether we, you know, win anything or not.
Well, that's true too. I mean,
But I think we'd have more credibility trying to get more money if we had gotten one of these things funded, or at least had a plausible project.
we could do more than one project.
I know we should do maybe two,
Because,
but I think we ought to sit
because-
down and start writing it up.
Patricia said, you know, we have money for one project,
Yeah.
but any other projects to deal with art and science, the San Diego Visual Arts Network will promote that.
Yeah.
And do
Well,
whatever
but I
they
think
can.
we ought to really, because look, it's practically the end of February.
When is
well,
this
well,
due?
well,
When is
well,
it-
basically,
I've
that's a
got
month.
2 weeks of performances, plus I've got to get my income taxes done all by the end of March. So I think, you know, we ought to just sit down and write 2 or 3 proposals. At least get them in the shape that one of us can sit down and
I'd
write.
like
This
to
is
do
what
is,
send it
the proposal
around.
looks like.
I'd like to put my head around your idea too.
I would
I gotta
like to
think
do, I
about
like,
that
I like
for-
to, we not.
Are we talking about the idea of
Well, I gotta
many
think-
tableaus
I
that
gotta
explore
think
the
about
space?
I mean, you can call them anything you want to.
Whatever.
You can make a call, go ahead.
No, I'm not, forgive me, I'll stop.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I
that
mean,
idea.
whatever we want to call them, I think that could be really stunning and novel.
The thing about it is you definitely wouldn't have any problem getting scientists involved because you're going to deal with their aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. The
You're
question
going to
is,
place it in that space.
we'll have to do a lot of work on figuring how to present this in a way the audience will understand it and
That's-
stay interested in it.
Here's
That's the
another
thing
thing.
I worry a
And
little
that's
bit
gonna
about
be
this,
very-
yeah.
Patricia gave us the name of someone who I think is a professional scriptwriter.
Well, you know, there's somebody I know around here who is an MD who just said, the hell with it, I want to write plays, and he has his own theater. And I met him at some party. Was it over at Patricia's? I think he lives in East San Diego. He has his own theater.
Really?
I'll have to look and see if I can find his card, because we talked at some length.
Yeah, I would
think
like
that
to
was
do
at that meeting.
Yeah, I think it
'Cause I
was, yeah.
think I
And he's a
remember.
guy just, you know, he had plenty of money, and he sort of found, then he has to raise money. So, yeah, he might be somebody interested, although a lot of these people, though, want to do their own thing. And the one thing about having a bunch of little tableaus in there if we get an influx, a lot of people, fine, you're responsible, you do one, you do one, you do one. And in the overall organization...
It'll make it easier to do.
Yeah, and
If you split it up and say,
and the overall staging is our friend here.
Here's an idea.
And you guys can do the music.
Here's an
when it's
idea.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Since this is about the DNA of creativity, how about if we set up this scheme to do these tableaus, and then invite other groups of
yeah.
other people
Yeah, I think
who are in
Yeah.
I
San
like
Diego
that
Visual
idea
Arts
of,
Network.
Or outside.
several tableaus.
Yeah, I think-
and
I was thinking
invite
maybe-
other because I'm worried about half of this whole thing is after the project is accepted, all of the other people need something to do.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
And that worries me a bit because
Well, this would be a thing to put in
Exactly.
the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
and so I think half of the reason that we're going to set something up
Okay.
would be something that would be valuable for other people to want to come in to. Anyway,
Exactly.
yeah.
But so they can all set up teams and they can all write and or perform a script, a small script, which we'll have to prove what it is.
Or do sets or whatever.
Or a set.
We're all artists.
Well, I think a lot of this
Most
stuff,
of them.
could be stuff you bring it out on the stage in where you think it belongs in that cognitive
Space,
or
yeah.
aesthetics, polysthetic space. So what do we call this thing? The polysthetics of experience?
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
just need something. I
That's
just think we need to start
Paul-
thinking of the title of this.
That's not a very sexy name.
Okay.
Let's.
Well, or just poly. Okay.
Deep
well,
throat is at the top.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
call it that.
Polysex experience.
What are they-
Polysthetic of deep throating.
Quantum deep throating.
Quantum deep throating.
And okay, you're the director overall. Okay, you're the one who's done the.
I would say let's show Deep Throat.
Yeah. But why don't we restage deep throat
Live.
live?
Just with Automata.
30 years ago, I'd have been interested, but
With robots.
Well, thanks to
Yeah, there you go. There's an idea.
Robotic Deep Throat.
That's
Well,
listen,
I have my best. And
Here's what
I'm
I'm
zero
thinking.
still after 2.5 years.
here's what I would
Also,
like-
he says hello. He remembered you. Because we got talking about what else do you do, and I said, well, after I'm involved in this art thing, I typed up one of your former patients, one of your patients. Oh, yeah. Kaz, yeah, I remember him. He's doing fine.
well, yeah. He knows me as Scott, though.
See, here's what I have
Well-
to do from the artistic standpoint.
Okay.
Is
I
like
figured
we
it
were
out.
saying, you have a distaste for conceptual art.
Heavens.
Okay.
I
so-
love
well,
conceptual art.
You said it's not.
I just said it's not art. See,
Okay.
you're using art as a value judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'm using it as a
then
category.
forgive me, I didn't mean that way. I just
I love conceptual
what I'm
art.
trying to do is set up an analogy here. Is that often in contemporary art, our experience is rather dull. Okay, it's not much of a payoff, or else it's a one-shot cartoon. You see it once, you don't want to see it again. There's no reason to study it or to go into depth in it. So what I would like to do is think about this idea a little more in terms of what the depth of the experience is and how to,
Lead them by the hand down the primrose path.
well, not
okay,
necessarily.
but this thing fits perfectly because
Right.
we've got the space down there, we've got the big circular mandala on the top,
Yeah.
and that guides them. And the intensity of the color in the mandala
But see, I always
actually
have to,
guides them down so they can think about the intensity of the experience. And we have people,
but see, I have
What
to
if-
think of,
I
go
think,
ahead.
what if you had an interactive thing with the cell phones?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how much of this experience did you find
yes.
pedagogical?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, 50%.
But
We
And
can
then
even
the
develop an
computer-
app
But
that
what-
would
The computer adds all of these up and
Yeah.
gives you a mean of the whole crowd.
Yeah, but guys,
Exactly.
listen, you've got to respect the integrity of the intelligence of the audience.
Right.
That why would anybody want to sit there with their cell phone and go,
Because it's cool that there's never been a something like this.
no, but I mean,
interactive
there's what's the,
Because they're doing this all day.
First place, they don't have to do it.
no, I don't mean that.
But the point is, those who want to get more out of the experience can take part of this thing with their cell phones.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's brilliant.
I think it is too.
No, but I'm saying what you want to do is, it has to be more than that.
Well,
Right,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely,
well, yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. it
The
has,
individual, I don't know what to call them, tableau. I was calling them tableaux, but there's a better word than that. Those have to be intrinsically interesting.
in the best, here's the
Their
thing.
acts are
They're
very
acts,
important.
individual acts.
The best thing you can do for an audience is be their host, not their guide. You know
Well,
what I mean?
sure.
And it's, what are we
But a
hosting?
narrator is their guide.
Yeah.
No, but here's what I'm saying is, what are we hosting here of,
The
What do you call it?
experience.
of what?
The polyaesthetics of experience.
We're showing
And
people.
Kaz or someone will come out and explain what they're going to see. And if they want to take part in analyzing and understand their experience, they can use their cell phones with this app.
But
and
dudes,
it'll
it
be on the
ain't rock
screen.
and roll.
What?
It can be.
And
That's
then-
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Let's
and
get
then-
it to the rock and roll point.
Well, okay,
Okay.
then those
That
are the
could be part of it.
those are the
Alright.
individual skits or
Yeah.
or playlets or
Yeah.
sets.
But see, what we're setting up
I
is
say
a
let me sing a
expectation
Springsteen
model
song or
of
Let me
American
sing a
Idol
Springsteen
here. We don't
song,
want
you
to
know?
do, you know what I mean, and there's the.
No, there's no
wanna be a
prizes,
millionaire.
no-
I'll
no
do
judges.
wahoo wahoo.
All we do is it just analyzes what it looks like, how people perceive it.
So and there's what we have to do for rock and roll then is that show that analytic in a really cool
This
way.
is the science part of it.
That's the science
Well,
part.
we're getting.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to work on the art part.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to wrap my head around this thing.
Okay.
How could we make it rock and roll?
Okay.
And so, or hip hop.
Okay.
And you know, the thing to do is the thing when I came back, I was thinking is maybe. And don't take this wrong. It's not criticism. It's not criticism. Maybe we change the language a little, keep the meaning, but change the words a little bit.
What's the matter with the words?
They could be juicier.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, what I mean, tactile. Okay, what's that? That's real general. I mean,
Like what? Give an example.
Most people,
Um,
I think people who go to this thing are likely to be people who have seen the word in print before. We're
You
not-
could.
Yeah, we could. But
Maybe you could put love and hate,
No.
praise and
Better
punishment.
words than even that.
Yeah, but,
You know,
but the thing of it
like
is
to the left, to the
this,
left, to the left, to the left.
this really invites science and art. And anything, it's about expression. And there isn't any
Hell, we're even talking about
expression.
screwdrivers here.
There isn't any expression
even
that
had a
I've
disagreement
found that
about
won't fit in that space.
But
mean-
what? Okay, and this is the critical question. Is don't take it wrong. So what?
no,
So
you,
what
you just
is-
said we have a sophisticated audience.
No.
There's no
Please
reason to
answer that
patronize
question.
them
I always say
by-
that to my own words.
Dumb it
Yeah.
down.
Because I have a consciousness of aesthetics and how aesthetics is not just some vacuous, amorphic thing that you can't get your head around.
But
This,
why-
this system is a group of tools that actually lets me get my head around any aesthetic expression.
Okay, why is that important to the guys driving the taxi down the street?
Why
It might not
why
be.
is a poem important to the guys driving down the street on
Okay.
the taxi? Why is
It
It may not
anything?
be, and we're not preaching to the whole choir. We're-
Okay,
Yeah,
so
wash.
here's, no, wait a minute.
Unwashable.
We gotta be careful here, because art has universal elements as well as particular
Yeah,
elements.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
the science again.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have both, you know, and the thing is, it has to be rich in experience. So how can we make this,
The skit
The
has
acts,
to
the
be interesting.
acts.
The acts have to be interesting.
but you, okay, but here's the dynamic, we're setting up, simplify this, you know, KISS, in other words. The idea here is we're setting up an experience of watching an act and having a judgment called to the act, or having a conceptual judgment. That's what we're doing. So what's the fun of that conceptual judgment, or what's the dynamic experiential payoff? And that can be, we can work out something that's cool, but it's fun to do.
Well, some people find
It's
having
surprising.
opinions interesting themselves,
Yeah.
and so
In thinking,
and thinking about it. That's the payoff.
that's,
But not everybody in the audience has to do that, and we're not going to force them to do it. But those who want to do that can do that too.
We're not going to force an audience to do anything
No, that's
unless
right.
we
That's
want
right.
to.
That's right.
But here's another thing. Here's another thing. If we're going to use the cell phone and computer thing to like poll those who participate and show the result, we could have a skit that actually confronts that and says who disagrees with this. You know,
Well, see, I like
whose
that
vote
idea,
is
yeah.
like the opposite of what
This
we're
is-
showing.
this is
That
what-
could be the first one.
That's what I was saying earlier, is it would be fun to see okay, this thing runs, and then see your cell phone thing comes up, your cell phone thing comes up, everybody's cell phone thing comes up, okay? But there's how do you say it?
In fact, we should write the program so that it shows the individual
But-
votes first as they're coming up, like just very quickly.
But make sure that
before
the
it
people do it
conglomerates
without
them.
seeing the other person's. Whereas you do yours, you do yours.
I
you
see.
do yours,
Well, that's
yours,
easy enough to do.
and
You
then
just,
platoon,
you know, you just
and
give
then-
them, you give them a minute or two to do it,
and then
and then
Music.
it's blocked,
Right,
music,
exactly.
and then you see it coming up there,
Right.
and then you go on the next. That's easy enough to do. All
But I
that.
think it would be a really
So-
good idea to
so-
show the individual votes first, briefly, and
Yeah.
then conglomerate them all into
Yeah,
some
well,
kind
it'd
of
be
plan.
more-
they can
dramatic.
they can just spot a
It
spots
would
of
be
color can appear.
it would be more dramatic if he says, you know, this is on that end of the scale, and he says this is and it all. But see, the other thing is too is if to stage that we need a really good visual on that. You know what I mean? We don't want to just put up that particular mandala as. Hey, do you know that book Diagrams? Have you ever seen it?
What's more than Mandela as it is, because it's going to.
I should give you
It's gonna
that
fill it
a
with color.
copy. And there's quite a few diagrams like, there's a, what do you call it? A lot of choices in diagrammic activity
Yeah.
that is really fun, conceptual diagrams. In fact, I've got that at Mission Hills, I'll bring it
Yeah,
out. for you.
there's tough to look too.
See, yeah. But anyway, the idea of making it just a really wonderful experience for the audience, I think is, as I said, we don't want to be guides to enlightenment here. I think we want to provide a tool for people to
Think.
That's the payoff, is the enlightenment.
It's enlightenment.
You were asking, what's the payoff?
Yeah, I'd say guide to enlightenment. We just have to be, we're not going to be.
But see, and here's what I'm questioning, and forgive me, I mean, it's a childish question here, but is what difference does it make to me whether it's slightly skewed scientifically?
Doesn't make anything. It doesn't make any difference to you.
But it does to me. I like to understand.
It does.
But okay, let me
I
put it
think
this
it's
way.
the difference in how we approach aesthetics.
But see, here's the thing: is I don't know if I even believe in aesthetics. I don't even think it exists. I think it's an artificial.
I think you need to go through this thing. Maybe you will understand and
No,
believe in
but
aesthetics.
I've studied a lot of aesthetics, and that's where I've come to is that whether that's an artificial. And look, I'm not.
No, I
trying to diss
tell you
the
what.
idea.
What
But
this
I'm-
is very scientific. I mean, I think that's why John gravitated
Well,
toward
you know
it.
Beardsley.
You know,
Have you read Beardsley?
I've gravitated toward
Where is
it,
it?
and I think maybe that's why you're not gravitating toward it, is because it is real scientific. It's all about thinking.
I love science. No, I mean I have nothing wrong with structural thinking. I mean I think it can be beautiful, pretty, you know. But the thing is that what is it giving us? And there's
Give me an
the first
example of
question.
something that you see as thinking that gave you something.
Not thinking.
Not thinking. About thinking that gave you, you're just talking.
Oh,
No, I'm not. I'm saying if an artistic position, often a revelation is to take the opposite of what you think yourself. Okay? If I'm thinking about something.
I'm asking a question about what experience, artistic experience, can you point to right now to say, I really liked how it stimulated my thinking, and then tell me what it was that got stimulated. What did you get out of that? What was it that was so beautiful?
Well, I spend my life looking, listening, thinking, and searching for things I haven't seen before or haven't heard before. And it's a very
That's
difficult.
not thinking, though. That's experience. Those are looking for different.
No, that is thinking. I'm talking about thinking things that I haven't thought before.
Okay.
Okay, too. And it's a difficult experience because we're so pre-programmed to think in terms of how we already think. Okay? And part of what you were saying earlier was this idea is that thinking is so small compared to automatic pilot.
But thinking and the aesthetics of thinking are two different things. thinking, you can do all sorts of thinking, but there may not be an aesthetic in that thinking.
Okay, can
You're
you
thinking
take
all the time.
take the idea of position just for experimental sake? Aesthetics doesn't really exist. It's an overlay. It's like saying making a story out of experience. Okay, in other words, there is no real story in life. Okay, it's just that's an arbitrary the structure we put on things. And a useful one. I'm not. Okay. And the same thing is our appreciation of beauty or ugliness or whatever. Those are. There's really no such thing in reality, but that we do that is useful. Okay.
It's useful to you.
No, to you and everybody. We call things beautiful, or we call
Well,
things.
Right. It's beautiful to me, but it may not be beautiful to you.
Or it might be beautiful
That's
to
right.
both.
Yeah.
you know.
And it could be.
Yeah.
And
And
it's-
so.
But the very existence of
In
the
the-
concept of beauty is something that's
The
useful.
value of art is
Yeah.
proportional to its need. If you don't need it, it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not of any value.
See, the thing is, you come to a point too where you wonder if art is even necessary. You know, and that's a dangerous
I
question
think lots
too.
of people may feel that way, like the cab driver, but
No, but I meant
he
for-
won't be coming to our thing.
No,
My
I'm saying-
marine friend,
Yeah.
No, but
The guardian point.
I don't think you're getting what I mean. I mean, there's in terms of working in art itself, whether you come to that, ask those questions. Sometimes it's important. Anyway, what I'm getting to is this: is that there's the reason I'm being a devil's advocate here a little bit is that what I'm searching for, and I'd like to think about this tonight and tomorrow. Anyway, put my mind around it, is how we could take this idea, which I think is beautiful, okay, and represent it in
I think it sucks.
in exciting form, to see the thing that's missing in there for me. I'll tell you right off. Okay, is that when you have polarities in an idea or feeling, okay, the discrete dimensions between the two are very colorful and interesting.
Yes.
And you might have an ambivalence and is a very interesting dynamic because it does exist in our brains. And
Well, that's built into the model too.
yeah, but we're not showing those discrete,
Yes, we are.
only by color maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
You know,
that's the
but-
way of showing it.
but
And,
not
and
by-
also position on the stage.
Yeah.
that's right.
If it's right in the middle, it's very
yeah,
ambivalent.
but there's.
It's proportional.
I mean, the whole point was to do it.
Let me give you an example. The difference between anger and humor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The threshold between anger and humor is fascinating and interesting because you can be and start hearing yourself and then go into laughter and humor, but those little
Yeah.
points between
Right.
are how we really live.
Yes.
So the idea of
The
coming up,
transition points?
yeah, we live in transitionality more than we do in definition.
Do you think everybody understands that? The people, you think everybody would understand that when they came into this? Because that's really what this is
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
to
but
teach
what I'm
you.
saying is what we want to show, okay, is or somehow bring out the fun of that, okay?
Well, that's what the acts do.
Okay, so you're saying
we
let's
haven't
come up
created
with
any acts.
We
you're
haven't
saying
created
create a plethora of acts
Yes,
that are really
yeah.
fun, and then
Yeah.
the audience judges on the acts in
But
terms
I'm
of their
saying,
aesthetic.
well, it's the judge analyzes them, but the point is we preposition the acts. We think that they fit here, but the actors may decide to move over to other areas as they get into it. Or an act may be the transition.
What
between
you're
certain
saying
things.
is take a, let's say, okay, you've got Howl up on a political spiritual, I think.
Yeah, it may morph,
polarization.
and
so-
it might stay there for that act, or that act may morph into something else.
So in other words, what we do is we morph the words of Howl. So
Well, or something, or
Or
something.
something
The people
You
doing it, the people
can
doing it.
illustrate any kind of a
Yeah.
poem.
Yeah.
Hal is a bit long for
Yeah.
this, but
Yeah.
you know,
You could pick a
something.
much shorter thing.
I wrote a
the Heart
variation.
Sutra.
I wrote a contemporary variation of Howl.
Speaking of the Heart Sutra, there's a stunning musical version by Liv Harrison.
Really,
Yeah, it's a CD, maybe on that web even.
I'd like to
But
see.
he set the whole
There's-
thing in
Ginsberg does a great.
in Esperanto. Some in just intonation by a choir
Cool.
with instruments that his friend Bill built.
Is it in English?
No, it's in Sanskrit.
Esperanto.
No.
But it's in a there's a translation that comes with it.
Well, here's the deal. When do we have to have these proposals all set and
March 31st
March
after the end.
31st?
So we've got to get something on paper, and I think we ought to set it for the 1st of March. We start writing.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go ahead and try to start writing on this one.
And I'll work on the,
On your plan.
mine, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
We
Let's.
have another idea.
We're having trouble getting two together, but
Yeah.
I'm perfectly willing to consider a third of them if these
I'll
are
write
if these
up-
are gelled enough.
I'll write up that macro idea. And
Why don't you just write it? Yeah, just,
I'll write it
just
up.
write up something, whatever comes on top of your head.
No,
just
I'll
write
write
it
up.
up.
I'll write up
Okay.
that mega
Okay,
idea
okay,
that
fine.
sounds threatening.
Fine.
and-
You know, we could put any number of these in.
Yeah.
We just have, they just have to be.
And then
reasonable.
next time we get together, let's choose.
Well,
We're gonna
we'll
write
just
all
put them
three.
in. We'll just put them in.
We'll write all
Oh,
Because we don't choose. They got judges and they